Welcome, listeners, to Gamer Headlines' Spoilercast. I am one of your co-hosts, Chris Cortez, and as always, I am joined by my other co-host, Adnan Riaz.
I like the little pause suggesting that you were going to say something, but then decided to take my option of not finishing that sentence.
No, it's just because I'm so used. I have a pattern I do with my voice when we're doing this. So then when
I've noticed it.
Yeah,
I've actually noticed that before.
So then, like, when I got to the part I'm supposed to do, I was like a robot, and I was reprogramming, and I'm like, say the next part, and then I said the next part. But yes, but as Adnan just pointed out, I didn't want to say the second line in our introduction because we're doing something special in this episode. This is really cool. This was actually kind of a semi-request. There were some people on our site that were curious if we were going to do this, and Adnan and I decided, fuck yeah, like, let's do this. Adnan saw the movie, I saw the movie. But we're doing actually a spoiler cast on a movie this time. And it's a movie that I think a lot of people have seen at this point because it's made like $1.5 billion. So, but we are doing a spoiler cast on Star Wars: The Force Awakens, or for the nerds like me, Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens, which is the 7th episode in the now 9-part Star Wars movie saga. So, pretty cool stuff. Dude, you didn't see it opening day, right? Despite you, and you had the opportunity, man. You guys got it a day early.
I wanted to do that just to spite you, Chris. That was no other reason to actually watch it for that.
I wanted you, damn it, to spite me.
Just into the chat, Darth Vader's Luke's father, Chris. Spoiler.
Yeah, Darth Vader appears in a flashback, lols. Yeah, but no, I did get to see it. I was very excited. I got to see it one of those. I got to see it twice the week it came out, and those are the only times I've seen it. I saw it once in IMAX on Thursday night showings with a crowd, and it was so fucking wonderful. I've told Adnan this before, and I think on the podcast, our sister podcast, Gamer Headline Show, I've said this, but the audience was so fucking cool. Like, they knew when to stop laughing. They're like, "Wait, shut the fuck up! A character's talking." It was awesome, and I saw
audiences generally should just shut the fuck up during movies. I hate when I see like the light of someone's phone pop up or like they're talking to someone.
Yeah.
I've seen someone someone was doing in front of me once, like in a cinema. I wanted to kick their chest so badly because I was like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah,
I've actually been that kind of guy. I've been one of those guys who's actually got someone injected before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I walked out the cinema, went to the usher like outside the front. Not the usher, but like the closest person I could get. I was like, "There's someone talking there. He's really kind of disrupting the entire thing." And then came back and he chucked him out. It's just like, I was like, right. I was like, tell me what I've missed.
I almost did that once with a group of kids, and when I got up to go, they all ran out of the theater. It was hilarious. But no, I got to see it a second time too. I rarely go out opening night to movies because of what Adnan just said. I hate people fucking up the movie for me. I usually go like Saturday morning when there's like no one there. But no, I did get to see it twice. Adnan, you saw it once as well, right?
Yeah, just once.
Yeah, so, but dude, I really like this movie. That's my initial impressions. I mean, obviously we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, but I really fucking liked it, man. It was just such a fun movie overall. I mean, obviously there's some things that still need answering, but I accept the fact that this is kind of like the first in a new trilogy. So I'm kind of like, okay with waiting for, episode 8 and episode 9 to get the full answers. I did have some issues with it, though, which we'll get into as we talk. There are some things, some scenarios, some, things, some styles of shooting, and some characters that I thought were straight up terrible ideas. But, dude, what was your your overall impression before we get down to the nitty-gritty?
I thought it was good. It's good. I think like weeks after it's come out now, I can kind of like come off the hype wagon like everyone's on.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate side effect when you watch something or anything else. It kind of like the expectations are just monumental and beyond anything else. You kind of like swallow it as it goes. No, it was good. I enjoyed it. I was quite impressed with it. It really did. I kind of like have double negatives with it as well because I would have preferred it had it carried on the Star Wars trend of what Lucas did. Mm-hmm. But downtoned the politics that he did. Because I was thinking about it more in the sense that when I was growing up, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace,
Right.
was the Star Wars film where I thought it was one of the best films I've ever seen. and like, do you know when I keep talking to other people, they say, like, yeah, I was kind of like that when I was a kid, but I was like, that's the entire point, because it was a new generation of Star Wars. It was never meant to pander to the old audience. It was like, it was ushering in, like, it was meant to be the evolutionary step of Star Wars. So that was one of those things that I love about a series, where it can really evolve and take, even if it's bad, if it can evolve and show there's some kind of like progression in it.
Yeah,
it's a journey to follow, which is what Star Wars is meant to be. Every like kind of story in that sense is a journey.
The prequels, they're definitely a lot different in tone than the original trilogy, and I think that's actually, I'm one of the few, like with you, dude, I'm one of the few people, the unsung heroes, that say, yeah, man, I think that that was a great
film.
What?
No, they're not terrible films. Sorry, like just when people say it outright and just kind of blast them, they're not terrible films. Like you have no kind of like.
It depends. It depends on what you're looking for. Like I think, emotionality-wise, the originals are better films, but I really love the way the prequels expanded the universe. I actually liked knowing about the politics. I thought that was very interesting.
When you insinuate something like terrible, you're suggesting that the cinematography is terrible. You're saying that the special effects are terrible, the acting is really terrible. Right? You're kind of encompassing a lot of things, and they like straight out, when people say it out of just anger, you're saying that it's completely terrible on all these factors. Yet there's a very redeeming factor of that, as you said, like the politics can kind of get a bit too heavy-handed, but you can kind of appreciate some of the, some of the principles of what it's trying to show, like, the Republic, the Resistance. It plays even more to what Lucas wants. The original vision, Stormtroopers, Darth Vader, and then you have the Republic, you have the Resistance, you have whatever, like all these kind of things, democracy, all these kind of themes that play into it. It plays quite well when you think about it a little bit more. They're not completely terrible films, bad movies in some sense. I'd probably say the second one's a bad movie.
Oh god,
out of the three of them.
I hate Attack of the Clones so much.
Yeah, it's not very impressive, but there are some problems with it. But that going back to the point, though, that's why I think, like, with The Force Awakens, I feel like where the criticism of it playing too safe comes into more effect.
Yeah.
And that's where I put it in. I wouldn't say it's just playing safe because it wants to be like the original trilogy. It plays it safe more in the sense that it doesn't really carry on the natural progression of where Star Wars was going with the prequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
That was like George Lucas's kind of plan to take it into something else. Obviously, it's not George Lucas's vision anymore, per se, in sense of like where this series goes. But it was very interesting to watch, though, how rustic it was and how charming it was for what it was doing, Star Wars. But yeah, it kind of embraced little bits of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, one I want to say one thing though. I really like how if you watch the movies, the way I think you should watch them is 1 through 9. I mean, it's 9 movies. Just watch them 1 through 9. But like if you start with episode 1, everything looks so pretty. You know what I mean? For like a better word, like everything looks really nice, and there's so much like the Naboo starfighters are so like well crafted. You could tell like they took their time crafting that, because there was no real battles going on at that time. And then by the time you get to the Clone Wars, everything is like in a very prototype stage. Like you see things that you remember from the later movies, but they're like still in like their early form. And then by the time we get to the classic trilogy, it's been 19 years of like this oppressive dictatorship that's been like ruling the galaxy, so everything looks even shittier. Like everything looks worn out, and
as it does. It shows neglected areas and kind of like areas that are being taken over by rebels, or like more in the sense of like little militant people and like each area.
Yeah, and like the X-Wings look like they like got whatever they could find to make like a ship to fight TIE Fighter. Like it looks so fucking cool.
The Resistance.
And now actually, I'm going there now with the episode 7. What I love about it is, dude, they are acknowledging the fact it's been 30 years. Like obviously the war in the classic trilogy affected the way technology evolved, but like didn't like not necessarily the cameras they used and shit like that, but like episode 7 looked like 30 years had passed in that galaxy as well. Like things looked a little bit cleaner, but still worn and used and stuff. But there's like this evolution where like you saw like, oh shit, look at the stormtroopers' armors. Like that looks like they got the same basic design from the Galactic Civil War, and they like evolved that. And like the Resistance looks like a cleaner version of the Rebellion. I thought that was so cool, like the look of the movie. Like it did look like 30 years past.
Yeah, I feel like that was one of my favourite things about the entire thing. We talked about this on a podcast before, leading up to our sister podcast, like the fact that it naturally feels like the first Star Wars film that is really taking leaps and bounds on years, and it feels like it has been that massive story. Like it has changed. I think like just saying now the opening, the credit crawl, like just the entire thing, just the first sentence, like Luke Skywalker has vanished. It's just like the chills are just like straight down. You think like none of them have actually ever done that in that sense. Like just when you read it, it's just like the first sentence is just that. It's like bang, powerful, simple, and like you must have think that how much time they must have spent to writing that. But that was the first sentence. It just had to be literally like that.
It sucks you in. Yeah.
It doesn't have to have any more effect than that. It just has to be simple, clear cut, and just like there you go. And it kind of like it places the kind of story in your head already. Like Luke Skywalker's vanished. It's like right. This is why everything's kind of happened.
Which, by the way, dude, I got chills seeing that. Like when the Lucasfilm logo appeared, and then like it dims, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. Like it was so cool. It was like being with an old friend again. I mean, it was like a really weird experience. I remember my first thought was like, God, this is so weird. It's opening it's a new movie. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like it's familiar, but I don't know what's going on. And by the way, I really wanted to mention this. A lot of people I know, like there's been all those viral videos of like grown men crying and shit seeing these trailers because they brought back so much nostalgia. Believe it or not, dude, I did get emotional when I saw the second trailer.
Only we're on the fringe.
Yeah, but like the second trailer got me emotional. The movie, it was like a different. I think I mentioned this on the other podcast, but it was like a different feeling. Like I know it's going to sound cheesy and everyone has fucking said this, but I sincerely felt like a child again, in the sense of like all of my worries went away, all of like, like the bullshit we have to think about as adults every day, like all that went away. And for like just a 2-hour period or however long the movie was, I just like stared at a fucking screen and was mesmerized. And I, like movie magic, if you would, like, kind of took over again, and that was I didn't cry one bit because I was so like I didn't cry as a kid, so like I felt like a kid again. But it was wonderful, dude. Like that opening kind of like kicked off that I agree. I think the opening crawl like sets the tone for the rest of the movie so well.
Yeah, it does it really well. I'm not surprised. It's a very much a nostalgia pulling film on everyone, like nostalgia heart-wrenching film for a lot of people because they will be driven by that. That's the main component of any Star Wars film. It's doing that mainly because it's become more than a movie. It's become a franchise. It's become a saga. It's become everything. Like it's like it shapes people's lives like more than anything. Star Wars conventions held every year. Like it says everything how mainstream and how much of culture it took up in like one space of like in the space of one film being released.
Oh yeah.
No, but like kind of like into the actual nitty gritty of the film though, like it was like the runtime was I'd say it's alright. It could have been a little bit down, like just trimmed off a little bit.
Pacing was great though.
Yeah, it was. I'd say I have to say that there was a little bit in the runtime you could trim it off because I kind of saw that first before I was watching it. I was like, okay, maybe it could be a little bit knocked down. Mm-hmm. I feel like it could, but that would be very kind of like it's a very harsh criticism for anything, but it's what I feel like they could have done in like little parts. But pacing, was good. It was very well planned, well thought out story. It was well executed. There are a lot of questions to be raised, and not necessarily there are some of the characters and everything else, but like for me, like I've always kind of pointed this out, like we're on Jakku, which is almost like a mirror image of Tatooine, but yet Jakku feels like an empty planet with no kind of like, it feels like an empty vessel without any history that I know of. And I feel like that was one of the things where the film couldn't really touch on, but it felt like just when I was on this planet, there was such relevance on Jakku, and it kept being placed. I was like, why is Jakku important? Why is there a massive Star Destroyer on the, in the background? The AT-ATs and stuff like that. There was obviously a big story waiting to, like, be told about it, but it was never really kind of explained. Not necessarily that planets in Star Wars have to be explained in that kind of sense, but like when it's like that significance and when like a lot of it was being shot on there and like kind of before they've moved off it, I feel like that planet really needed it if they were going to create a new planet. It's like, because they were all building up. Remember all the hype they were building up for it. It's like, it's Jakku. It's a new planet. It's not Tatooine. And we're like kind of raising eyebrows. Yeah,
there's a lot of moments actually where this is kind of like going a different direction from what you're saying. I do agree with you, but I felt like couldn't Jakku have just been Tatooine? I mean, like couldn't like what was it like?
There's two moon and just one woman on that planet. Obviously, it could have been. It's literally as Chris says. Oh well, he says no women on Tatooine. This is actually a bit different. Maybe that's why Jakku is different.
Yeah,
there's a woman on the. a woman on the planet.
And the portions guy. That was it.
Yeah, and the
Quarter
portions guy.
But yeah, no, it's I felt like there's a lot of like the resistance base, like that could have been Yavin from A New Hope. Like I felt like there's some I get it, like you want to create new planets and shit cuz you know, that's what you do, but like dude, when Jakku looks just like fucking Tatooine, what's the point, you know? Like I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna make a new planet, make a new planet. Like go out there and I mean it's hard. You have an ice planet, you have a fucking desert planet, you have a forest planet. Yeah, you run out of ideas. Yeah, of a city planet. Yeah, like you run out of ideas. But like man, there's so many copycats. Like this is kind of going further in the movie, but when the Starkiller base destroys that whole like you know planet system or whatever. A lot of people thought that was Coruscant because it was a city planet. Yeah. And it wasn't Coruscant, it was another planet. So I'm like, there's another fucking city planet? Like, give me a break, man.
That is the spitting image of Coruscant.
Yeah, like...
That's a spitting image of it.
Why are there so many, like... Did they copy in the 30 years where planets copy and pasted, like, across the galaxy? Like, you know,
CGI
God.
Budget cuts, that's why.
So,
paste.
Yeah,
welcome to the 21st century.
I agree, dude. I think like that was really weird. It would have just hide the. I mean, I get it. You don't want to make the galaxy seem so fucking small, but like, don't fucking make another planet just to make another planet. You know? I don't know. That was kind of silly.
I mean, see, the problem is that we're judging it just on one film, but it's a story that's spread out on three different films, as it deserves to be.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard when you have to judge it on the single film.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, when I feel like a lot of sequels and trilogies start to do this, where they kind of want to be judged as a whole rather than singular. No, you judge singular because that's how it's made. That's how all films were originally made in terms of, like, you know, The Godfather, Scream, Terminator. You know, all the other films, like classics and stuff like that, were made on kind of like singular films that had a continuation. They left it within reason, but they explained where they like had like, you know, plot points that were really integral to the story. Like, for example, the Luke lightsaber thing. I said it to you before. They weren't going to explain it. They didn't. They copped out of it. As soon as they did it, I rolled my eyes. I was like, "You obviously copped out," because there's no explanation of, as even you pointed out, because I didn't even notice that the fact that the lightsaber fell through the entire city. Do you when you said that it falls? Well,
yeah.
if you assume, unless it's his hand or it's just something.
Yeah.
The entire point, like, it is just disappeared in the middle of this cloud city, and they kind of really just like, you know,
it's weird. Like there's a lot of theories people have. Yeah, about for reference for you guys. Like I told Adnan, there's a theory that in Empire when Luke's hand gets cut off. And after Luke, like, you know, Vader's like, I am your father. He's like, no! And then he falls and shit. Like, that, he goes into, like, this, like, a fucking, I guess it's like a tube that sucks Luke in.
Yeah.
And then, like, he falls and he's holding onto this antenna before he calls Leia. And then he looks down and you see something falling. And for the longest time, people thought, oh, that's Luke's hand holding the lightsaber falling down into the planet. Which I think now... That can't be true though, because like that's a gas planet. So it like, you know, I think I think that if they ever explain it, it would probably be like a fucking book or something. I don't think it's actually going to be explained in the movies. I hope it is though. But I think Maz, who's one of the characters introduced in the movie, I think she found it like it probably like fell into one of the vents. And there's probably some dude that was like fucking cleaning the vents in Cloud City and was like
headphones on.
Yeah, it was like
it's a cantina band.
Yeah, it was like
hits him on the head.
Oh shit! He was like a fucking hand. He's like, oh, lightsaber. This sells a fine price. Just threw the hand back down the hole and like kept the lightsaber. Like, I think that's like more of a plausible scenario because I mean, I don't think you can make it that that's what fell. Even though that's what we all thought growing up, like it just wouldn't make any sense. But it was cool. It was cool seeing it, and they did do great continuity on it because it looked just like the Empire lightsaber. There's like slight, you know, differences with all the three Anakin lightsabers shown in the movie series, and yeah, they kept it. Like the nerd in me was like, they kept it good. Like it looks like how it should look.
Yeah, it's got the original things on it. I was kind of like rolling my eyes at that a little bit, and then kind of like, it was definitely interesting. Just like kind of like that flashback was really, again, like that flashback they showed, which was really kind of like setting up more for the next film. to explain about the Jedi Temple and everything else.
Oh,
like,
right, yeah.
That was a cool fact. But kind of for me, like, one of the best things about this film, kind of like drifting away completely from that conversation, we might come back to it in a little bit, but like the big thing for me was the fact that Star Wars Episode 7 is the new generation of characters, and it did something so well in the fact that every other character from the previous films, more in the sense that 4, 5, 6, was playing the supporting cast rather than the main cast, and it was even down to the droids. Like BB-8 was our main droid, and 3CPO turned up later. If it is 3CPO, it might be Venom 3CPO. With his red arm, just have to be careful with that because it could. You never know. If it's him.
By the way, let's take a moment to talk about the cast. I think of the film. We really haven't, kind of spoken about that. Like, I agree with you. By the way, I think the older cast, and it's so easy to make the cheap, movie and have them be like really hardcore in the spotlight. You know what I mean? Like, it's so cheap to just make an old Luke, Han and Leia movie, and just like everyone's gonna turn out to see that. But they didn't do that. Like you said, they made them supporting cast members, and that's how it should be, because it's interesting. If you start again with the prequels, Obi-Wan totally takes the backseat in the original movies. Like, all of a sudden, he was like the main character, and now he's older, and then he becomes like a background character in the classic trilogy. So I liked how in starting with The Force Awakens, they're already making it very clear that, I mean, with the exception of Han Solo, which he kind of like drove, he was like the Obi-Wan of this movie, kind of, like he was helping the new cast kind of come into their own. The next movie is totally going to be more about the new cast. I know Luke is in it, and they're going to have to like introduce him, but at that point, he's going to be more established,
Do you know what I found quite funny as well? Do you remember that photo they released of J.J. Abrams, the entire cast in script reading?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Mark Hamill must have picked up the script and like, look, flip through it. JJ, I have no lines.
How boring. He was just there hanging out for like
just,
however long.
Sitting there like, fuck's sake.
For like the hour and a half or 2 hours it took to get through it.
No, I think Han Solo is in the driving seat. Like, fucking hell, I can't believe I said that. And pun in terms, like, kind of Millennium Falcon. But, like, yeah, he's in the driving seat, basically. He's kind of dictating the narrative as the supporting character. And kind of giving a bit more kind of like that thing where people are like, oh, we didn't see them long enough and blah, 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 blah. Like, it was kind of like he was there more central to it. And he obviously is, because one of the bigger reveals that happens in the film. And I think, like, Leia has some good screen time. I think, like, Carrie Fisher looks amazing in that film.
Yeah.
Like, she does absolutely amazing. She plays it to a T as well.
Yeah, she and Mark, because Harrison, he has been doing films for a while now. He never stopped really doing films, so he's been, keeping up in shape and stuff. But, Mark became a voice actor. He even said himself, like, it doesn't matter how you look when you're a voice actor. You come in, you could be wearing, like, fucking sweatpants. They don't care. So, like, him and I know Carrie became a writer and she was a comedian. So, like, it wasn't... She
didn't get the role for Princess Leia, remember? Screen free.
Right. It wasn't...
Guess who slept with George Lucas?
But like, yeah. So like, I agree, dude. I think that it was really cool that they got like mad kudos to them, because they both got in such wonderful shape. Like, even though the little bit we saw of Luke at the end of the movie, like, he looked fucking awesome with the fucking beard and the long hair and like the mechanical arm.
Good,
yeah, he looks so cool. And Leia looked great too. Like, she looked like Leia again, like 30 years later. So like, they did a great job of getting in shape for this movie, and for the fans, of like bringing back. They're the vessel for these characters, so they kind of like felt that obligation, and I thought they did a wonderful job. Not really much we could say about Luke or R2-D2. They're barely in the movie, but
Luke's very good in the sense of how they do the reveal at the end of the film. Yeah. You get to right to the end, and you're like, shit, he's not going to be shown. He's not going to be shown. Like, there's a kind of like, I think they did it. Obviously, they did it intentionally.
Yeah.
Kind of that fear that you want to see him, but she gets to the planet. She's going up the mountain. He's standing there, like, so chilling, just seeing the back of him.
You think he was taking a piss, by the way?
Pissing in the wind.
Yeah, just like, morning. Oh no, what is the planet called again? Like Urk something? Archto. Morning on Archto. Yeah.
Yeah. but it's just so cool. And then he just turns around and it's like so chilling where it shows him he's aged, and like the fact that his arm doesn't have any skin on it anymore.
Yeah.
Which I think probably will explain why like the fire and everything else that happens at the temple. I'm gonna assume that's gonna be like linking into it.
Where it's just like
Yeah.
it was shitty skin. He chose like cheap skin, so it just kind of like like
Yeah.
melted off over time. Like, god damn it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just like when she's like I think I agree with you more in the sense that that last shot I've watched it a million times now.
Mhm.
Very strange. I think they kind of do it just for the impact of where he is, and he's like
Yeah.
literally in the middle of nowhere. I don't think it necessarily had to be that. I think like the thing is, like, I thought it would be in a good one. Like, you know, it shows that trailer where she's handing the lightsaber to that woman. What's her name?
Right? Wait. Oh,
The
Maz?
Yeah, Mars. Sorry,
Right.
yeah. That shot where it shows like the hand. I thought they'd do something like that, but obviously they don't want to move him from where he is because that's the perfect pickup point for the next movie.
Right.
Both of them standing on that rock. But I think like a better shot would have been just like kind of like doing like almost like a reverse shot between them, then like just ending abruptly, or something along those lines. I don't think
Yeah.
that final shot isn't too brilliant. It's not something I can completely hold myself against, but it was kind of a strange shot for the rest of the movie. But like just seeing Luke though, and just kind of like seeing the facial expressions between the two of them when she presents him with his lightsaber and obviously Anakin's lightsaber, it's just like, oh, that was the moment. I was like,
Yeah.
I cannot believe the next movie is like a couple of years away.